a little talk about him, and a passing of a close person. I got to know him within the last year, and to see him go is a great change. And Bruce was a writer of the book, and Monty was the audio voice of the book also. So we have a unique perspective here. And if anybody wants to ask questions about Stardust Rants, yes, this is a comedy show, but we do not do comedy for 120 straight minutes. This is not laugh, rest, stand up, have drink, laugh, rest, go to the bathroom. This is a laid-back, uncharted, unformulated, no-plan show
that we created 10,000 lifetimes ago in a womb.
Exactly. While we were all drinking, champagne. And everyone drinking champagne.
And everyone that is actually watching it and in the future watching it, you agreed to this as well. So if you don't like it, it's your own damn fault.
And for all of you that agreed not to watch it, fuck you.
Well, will they know?
That's why I said it. If it attracts them, it's another audience member one.
And if your questions aren't answered, don't worry. When you're a ninth dimensional being in 1 trillion years and go, okay,
you'll get it then.
Yeah. If you show up like that, though, Bruce might tell you to bugger off. He's done it to 7-dimensional beings. Came in to help him. We'll bring that up too. I have to say, first of all, I hadn't seen
that.
I hadn't seen the cartoon at the start of the show, which I love. That actually had me cracking up at the start. That's a very good likeness of Mont.
Yes, Farting Unicorn Productions strikes again.
FU Productions, ladies and gentlemen. FU Productions.
That's right. A great way to do it. Yeah, definitely. With Don, look, I'm sorry, guys, but we're going to laugh and crack up and talk some really weird stuff today, and I'm happy to take you down that mad rabbit hole and tell you what an idiot I am as a human.
So
I was going to say, we started the show as like, we're going to celebrate someone dying, but it's a comedy show. I'm like, what the fuck is this going on now? And I'm going to tell everyone I'm an idiot because I'm a human.
But part of the comedy is how the universe has brought this A-team together. So, Melissa, you had a military career, et cetera. You were a female sniper, so you have a very unique human war-based perspective that is transferred into multidimensional visual sight healing, all sorts of really advanced techniques. So you see the battles firsthand and the damage done in all your clients left and right. Something similar I do. We both do similar things in just a different perspective or way, but ultimately it's frequency and light at the end, and does it change? So let's talk. You recently read or listened to the Stardust Ranch book, and you just triggered something in you. And now we are going to put on our Twilight Zone music. No, because we are going into the weird zone.
Yeah. There's so much I'd love to say about it, but if you haven't purchased the Stardust Ranch, forgotten the undertitle, Bruce.
The Incredible True Story.
Thank you very much. It is the truth in this particular book is mind-blowing. If you're going to get a copy of the book, I'm an author. Look here, here's one of my books. Ta-da, right? That's when I brush my hair. Yeah.
Isn't that the only copy left?
That's pretty much a collector's edition. That's right. It is. It's
$4,000. So anyone today, just call in for Melissa, and you can buy that for $4,000. Now that's Australian dollars, so that's about 3 gallons of petrol from the US.
But this particular, I knew when Monty actually was recording the audiobook of Stardust Rant. Buy the hard copy if you want it. I love hard copy books too. Still, they carry their own vibration, but I'm talking the paper version. But the audiobook of this book has to be one of the most powerful and astonishing audiobooks I've heard. It is awesome. Things I want to warn you about because of the vibration of listening to this book. Do not operate heavy machinery. Don't drive your car while you're listening to it. I like to go for a 5K run, and I had to stop running and walk. And I'm actually a very high vibrational presence. You actually just seriously, I'm actually saying that in all seriousness. Don't actually drive your car, because I tried it, nearly died. So
yes, we have a rule: no driving and divining. Yeah, no driving and divining.
Oh, and I do love it. Like I kept getting texts from Melissa as she's listening to it. It's like, it's so weird you're talking to me. I'm like, thanks.
And I actually, I was listening to it in the car, got out of the car, and Mont was there and started talking to me. That was a weird transition, like from listening to him in the audiobook and getting out of the car and actually conversing with him. And but Monty has actually put a couple of signatures in there, which often professional narrators will do. I want you to listen out for the Aussie, because a couple of times Monty says bloody, which is an Aussie thing. Like we say bloody, it's bloody hot, it's, bloody wet, things like that. And every now and then you're going to hear his little signature Aussie, it's a bloody. He talks about, when he's talking about the future of us, is not about tech. He says, we don't need another bloody smartphone. And it's like, that's it. There's your little signature. So there's a little Easter egg for you to look for when you're listening to this book. I cannot recommend enough actually purchasing this. You need to purchase it. It's part of the exchange that you actually take on the vibration and the information that you need. And all is in balance in universe, in galaxy, and in all of this creation. And as such, that exchange is normal. So pay for it. Don't try and rip it off. Don't download it from somewhere. Otherwise, you're just not going to get what you need from it. Okay, enough of me advertising it, because I've been advertising this everywhere, which I didn't get to say to Bruce because he's having trouble. So there will be royalties coming in, everyone involved in it, which is good, because I would like that for John's wife as well. But this particular, now you guys don't know a lot about me yet, and yes, I'm a healer. That's how I have come to the planet for what I have to do here. I'm here to teach. That's it. I am literally a phenomenal healer, and excuse my language, but I'm fucking good at what I do.
Is that Australianism? How would you like to market you there? I'm fucking good. That's what I'm fucking good at.
In terms of my military history, the one thing that the military turned me into, because I'm a woman, you may have noticed, and in this life anyway, and the military is often something that confuses everyone, because I was a weapons specialist and I'm a woman, so I'm not allowed to go front lines, not technically allowed to be any of those things. And if you ask the Australian military and the Australian Army what I did, it's very, very highly guarded. They release nothing. So in that, and again, years of doing this, so I'm good. Oh, it's Andrew's face. Hello, handsome.
Yeah, Andrew's broadcasting from 1853.
Yes, I'm trying to fix my camera here so I don't look so red.
Yeah, it's so sepia.
But the he's in the pits of hell. I like that. Good job.
It's kind of psychedelic, actually.
It is pretty cool.
So I don't have ritual backgrounds anymore.
Oh, that's weird.
Look, they drive.
Go ahead. I'll figure it out.
But it does. So red suits you. This book is, and Bruce, everyone's worked on this for years. They can tell you a lot more about how long it took for this book to come out, that there was like a 12-year delay or something between connections before they reconnected, all of that sort of stuff. I may have the dates wrong. I'm bad with timeline here on Earth, okay? Don't dates about the timeline here has never worked. Monty can tell you a million stories of me screwing up dates. But this book is absolute, it's absolute truth. If I'm going to tell you right now, is off the deep end, way beyond any boring old rabbit hole. We're talking, you're going to go down about 60,000 wormholes before you get to where you need to be. So rabbit hole's nothing, but it's
Well, people ask me, what's the book about? I did an audiobook. Oh, what's it about? And I've condensed it to an 8,000 aliens and an 8,000-year-old time portal. And that's enough, because people are like, what? And they're like, yeah, check it out. I don't need to explain anymore.
That's the particular meme that's up is absolutely what I was about to say. It will accelerate your own vibration just to listen to this. And it will accelerate it enormously. And that is exactly, as you get to the final chapters in the book, you will hear why that's essential in the human collective consciousness. And in our survival and in your individual awareness and ability of what you have, because with everything that I do in vibration, with all my mass communication with every species on the planet and everything out in multidimensionalism, it is a communication, it's a quantum-based vibration. That means that it's immeasurable and it's based in information and light. which is actually the same thing. Light and information, the same thing, but it will accelerate you and enter a new awareness of self that is the absolute all-powerful weapon that you would use anywhere, not just on this planet, not just in your office or wherever you might be. That acceleration in the self and your awareness is your absolute all-powerful weapon.
That's the power of reading books like this. I got to ask a direct question. As you're reading it, people get downloads, but as a healer, I'm sure you had a lot more. Let's go into some of the aspects. So you're seeing it from your higher view. Don't filter it for people that can't understand it. Be unfiltered in your perceptions from the book.
Because I don't want
they can handle it. They can all handle it. Yeah. And if they can't, fuck them. Don't worry.
Yeah, as Bill Hicks says, you try and aim for the highest intellect in the room because it's time. Just take your safeties off and freak us out, yo.
Exactly. Put the tracer around every four rounds. We're good.
All right. Look, I've got so many stories from this week that have come in since I've been listening to the book of people that have come into my life in the past week. That it's funny you mentioned rounds because one of my colleagues from the military, we went through officer training a year apart, and he and I were. And when I say I'm a weapons specialist, I love weaponry. I don't love killing, and I never have. Anyone that wants to take me shooting, and it's always, I can tell you 100% it's men, that want to take me shooting. I don't shoot animals. I'm trained to kill men. No.
There may be a Darth Cheney moment. I'm just
well, there may be a few men. There may be a few men who qualify both as animal and human.
Exactly.
So Shilling wounds them.
Well, there might be other intrusions on a human presence that I'm happy to shoot as well, but that's another thing too. But one of the things that came out of it's funny, the very primitive fixation on guns, and sorry everyone that's in the United States, but you guys particularly, that think guns are such a powerful tool. Guns are just a tool. They're not a powerful tool at all, and they're frighteningly primitive. I love them. I love the mechanism of a weapon. I love the sound of the as it moves, and because I live in this constant super high vibration, I hear that. I can hear the actual, because I'm sort of phasing warp speed stuff. But in terms of what came through, I'll go back to Andrew's question. The communication came through was enormous and overwhelming at times because I don't live linear time. Every time they came up to an incident, I entered the bloody incident, which there's the bloody. I entered the bloody incident and actually experienced it through John. So through what he did in his presence. And felt everything that John felt. You don't want that. I got to tell you, it was like to feel his fear, to feel his, oh my God, the man had rage. Woof. To feel
as an example, when the first time there's the doppelganger, where well, I'm just because you're connected to John,
that was amazing.
Yeah,
you would not want to take the last piece of bacon at Sunday brunch with John Edmonds at the table.
Oh my God, no.
I'd try. I have to know. I want that bacon.
What do you think?
Hey, call me Stumpy. Call me Stumpy from now on.
These spoilers away, but he was sitting in a restaurant. How he did not grab a steak knife in front of him and slit the throat of what was in front of him, I don't know, because man, he wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
He, thank God he didn't have that sword. But Bruce, there was this constant battle. The beauty of Bruce, and let me tell you the role he played here. Bruce was, the way I described it to Mont, was Bruce was the armourer. He was the man that had the armour.
No, John was the armourer?
John, sorry, not Bruce. No, I get into what Bruce is. Sorry, John. John was the armourer. Joyce had a whole other role that was and Andrew said many times what a superhero she is in this story, and I can't even describe the measure of superhero she is. And at the moment, I haven't met Joyce, I haven't spoken to her, but at the moment I'm actually holding her in my own vibration. I'm holding a shield around her until everything Stardust has been resolved for her personally. because without a doubt, the government's going to take hold of this property. They are terrified. And so the two other major strongholds down in that area have already been fenced off and blah, blah. We know that. Mm-hmm. But there's an interesting battle happening in this dimension from the multiple dimensions on Stardust where everyone's trying to claim it. And that's
one of the last conversations I had with John before his first attack, where he split his aortic valve from heart to stomach. If you don't know anything about the aorta, he split it, and they had 7 bands to put it back together. And the fact that he survived that alone, but just before that, what I described it was as a cartel attempted to take over the ranch.
That's right.
Like a drug cartel. And there were other cartels battling that cartel. And then there were intergalactic forces trying to suppress the cartel, who was then corrupting the good guys because they brought the bribes. They brought the DNA. Okay.
Teary. So I'm getting teary because the battle that John put up, the battle that John put up as a human was unbelievable. Now, John was born into, do you remember biology where you were told in high school, you're told about ectomorphs and endomorph bodies, and then there's an insert in there where you have diplomatic structures and various other bodies. Now, a diplo body is a human body that is fucking hard to kill. Now, I'm a diplo. I've actually met a couple more this week. I've had cancer several times, been given 2 weeks to live, been given 6 weeks to live, they gave me 2 weeks to live 29 years ago. Mm-hmm. They got that one wrong. And so no, don't, John, thanks for that. That's perfect. Man, John would not go down. And the battle and the pain and a lot of what drove him in those final days was just protecting Joyce. It was he reached a point of don't give a shit about everything else. You're not touching anything here. Like, you're not touching this. The stuff he survived blows me away too, Andrew. I see a lot of miracles every week. I'm not downplaying that. I'm not irreverent of what I see when I put people into sessions and what they heal themselves from. I see miracles literally every day where people heal themselves of things that are incurable and terminal and permanent, and no, they're not. Okay, nothing is. But I have to say I've never quite seen what John's body survived. Yeah. I'm happy to talk about viruses later, Santo. Virus is a whole other alien structure. I want to talk to you about that.
And very quickly as well, I've been a witness to Melissa. I've known Melissa since 2008. I think it's 14. I have to point that out to you because you're out of time, like your calendar, or whatever. But I've seen what Melissa can do for 14 years, so I'm a backup to her. She's witnessed it, and I've witnessed her, if that makes sense. And it's like, and
now we have a unique opportunity because we have the author of the book, the speaker of the actual book, a friend of John also, where we can delve deeper into some of these visions. And when I said it was like a cartel takeover, John and I probably talked before his injury, maybe 10, 12 hours about that over I don't know, 4 or 5 calls. 2 hours here or there. We would just go into this depth process of what was going on in the land and the different things that were I don't know how to, the way he put it is trying to make a manifestation, because there was a certain energy requirement to go from point A outside of our solar system to point B as manifested on the ranch for just a microsecond, which then allowed you to have a passport to another dimension. And it's why the thugs were attempting to take over that space, not just Stardust Ranch, but several other locations from Mexico to Canada.
Oh, it wasn't just that, it was global. There were a couple more.
For this network, which allowed point A being Sirius Alpha and Sirius Beta, direct dimensional portation here without detection. That's the key. That's what these lands are unique. They outside psychic forces are going to have virtual impossibility to detect the transition of a consciousness from Sirius to Stardust Ranch or any of the other ranches that are out there or those lands.
It sounds like a priest hole in England where they had the Protestant.
It's a smuggler's route.
Yeah.
And it's been there for a long time. Yeah, it's a smuggler's route.
And they tried to. There's actually another one over in Scotland that's that was all part of this. That an amazing portal there. That's look. There's so much that if you haven't heard the book, hear it. Don't read it. Like, seriously, get the audio. The reason I'm telling you about that, and I'm trying not to. I mentioned to Monty a couple of weeks or a week ago, I think, that I love that he has no clue who he is. Like, and he doesn't need to. What Mont does in terms of where he's come from, you know, where he's been in the last, you know, 8,000 lifetimes, things like that. But and I don't mind that. He gets frustrated by it.
Sometimes, but I realize that I'm a sleeper cell, and also it's part of my no plan. And
that's
so
right. Your plan is what makes you more powerful. The vibration of Monty's voice is a very powerful vibration. The fact that he was selected or directed, as it were, because it was already in place long before we came in, that he was to do this, to narrate this book, has made it terrifying for any negative entities. They absolutely did not want this to go ahead. And when Andrew was holding guard while it was all happening, Andrew was assaulted badly and from multiple dimensions. And his body suffered for it. His human body did, physically. And then as Monty does,
spoiler, he's fine.
Yeah, spoiler, I made it.
Monty does in Monty's way. Monty sort of waits until someone's in agony or in ICU before he says, "Hey Mel, do you reckon you could help?"
No. A caveat on that. I get told, I mentioned you 4 months earlier to the person that's in trouble. Then when they end up in ICU, oh, maybe we should talk to that woman. You said, all right. It was 3 months ago, but I'm not going to, pull the Time Lord crap now. And
so back when I actually stepped in and had a look what was happening to Andrew, and I'm talking Andrew, the whole presence of Andrew, not just this little human, like here's you in the human body, right? And here's you. Like the real you.
The rest of me.
You feel like you're looking through the lens of your own body. And so it's so when I had a look at what the hell was going on with Andrew, then I started to understand how powerful this is. Now, Andrew has come in where he's the Galactic Historian, and most of the time is presented as an Akashic specialist, which is awesome. I actually really love that. And here I am. With all that I do, I present as a healer, and I'm here to teach. That's why I went into it, because everyone's like, how can you be a healer when you're killing people in the military? I take the fifth on whether or not I killed anyone.
Karmic resolution.
But the military made me a phenomenal and very efficient teacher. That's what it made me. And that's why I went this path in this life. But in many, many lifetimes, I have been on Earth and in other places. I am a warrior. It's where my roots come from. And so most of the time, I think I'm male. But I certainly don't.
Did you just assume your own gender?
I'm thinking most other lifetimes on Earth, it just wouldn't have been accepted. But I've also been, you can imagine on this planet and the history that we do know on, at the superficial level, I've been burnt at stakes. I've been all of that stuff. I've been a priest in Egypt. Egypt, by the way, much, much more advanced race than we even begin to know. And what we know.
You think we had it bad with live action TV shows? In Egypt, it was way worse. Their entertainment was very seductive.
But back to the whole vibratory thing. All right, Monty's voice has an amazing vibration. He doesn't begin to know what it does, but he uses it very, very well. And he and this particular audiobook, I can't tell your friends about it. It is so powerful. But the reason I want you to tell your friends about it too is to that was interesting. I'm going to get back to that in the chat room. Is to lift your own personal vibration even higher than it already is. Now, if you're here in this audience, your vibration's already pretty bloody high, okay? You wouldn't be here and you wouldn't cope with this if it wasn't. But this particular A-team that came together to put this book together, and Bruce had been brought in as the phenomenal multidimensional scribe he is. This man's got a long history of, and Andrew's probably better to talk about that actually. You would understand Bruce's.
Oh yeah,
part.
yeah. We've talked about it.
Andrew and Bruce released a book, so I mean, we could start there.
And by Bruce's own words, it was part of it is a continuation of Stardust Ranch. It's what it needed to finish.
Yeah.
Would you remember, Bruce, when we to talk about that, about how unique the two books are symbiotic to each other?
Oh yeah. Well, there's actually a trilogy, but I don't recommend the middle one for everybody. It does for the dark vibration what Galactic Historian does for the light vibration. And it was a necessary book for me to write, but it's not a necessary book for everybody to read. Those who read freak out though. Like people call me from the other side of the world doing PhDs in machine learning and artificial intelligence to discuss the light of darkness. And we never marketed it. My co-writer disappeared the moment we finished. He's Navy SEAL, total. But the three books work together. And, I've thought about this a little bit. And when you look at literature the way I have, there's always at the beginning of a century a new form of literature. At the 19th century, it was hands down, it was Heart of Darkness by Joseph Conrad, which hit its peak with Francis Ford Coppola's interpretation of it in Apocalypse Now. Okay. Yeah. The whole 20th century explained to you in 1905 by a Polish dude for whom English was a second language. Okay. So these three books are sort of like they're going to prime the 21st century. That's the way I feel about it. I feel very proud. I want to say about John Edmonds. John Edmonds, man, I've known that guy a long time. He used to, and I'll tell you a few inside things. Stardust Ranch has a fan base, a groupie fan base inside the CIA. And, for those of you who've seen HBO's Rome, I always felt about John like we were Lucius Farinas and Titus Pulo. And always, the guy was just like literally the toughest human being I know. I mean, like literally the toughest human being I think I've ever known. And just from and knew everybody. Jimi Hendrix, Jimmy Page, Robert Plant, knew everybody. Okay, and his experience with ETs far precedes Stardust Ranch. We decided to tell the story in the scope we did because that's all people can handle. There were future books to be written with John, but he decided to leave, and he earned it, obviously.
Oh, he did too. That's just it. He didn't choose to leave, and that's that was where I was really offended when I saw where he was. He just, the human biology can only handle so much. If anyone could have pushed it further, it would have been him. It's like I've just never seen such a phenomenal biological survival. Just literally phenomenal. I use the word phenomenal, everyone, it's literal. I've never seen anything quite like it.
When he had his second aortic tear 4 months after the first one, or 5 months after the first one, he wanted to go home right after the surgery. And at that point, there was no way they were going to let him home because he was still bleeding internally. And he then, at that particular point, he was still, piss and vinegar all full of it.
To clarify for this conversation, when Andrew says home, he means Stardust Ranch. He doesn't mean Arcturus.
Yeah.
So it's just the language we have for this conversation. So.
You have to understand the nature of the surgery he went through, which was the aortic, where they had to reband the aortic valves. I mean, that's the Widowmaker. It kills 98% of all people, and he survived it twice.
Yeah.
So to reiterate how strong that body can take stuff.
In two different sites, though. It wasn't the old site that had already been damaged that ripped up. It was a second site, and that never happens. Most people never get a second sight, do they? They never get a second chance.
They never get a second chance out of that. Exactly.
But the fact that it wasn't the weakened area they went for a new one. And so the beauty of the heart is someone's dog's trying to tell us something again. Is that your dog again, Bruce?
Yeah, that's Bruce.
What's his name?
Sol. It's son in Spanish. SOL.
Yeah, Sol.
Oh, you give a name to a dog, do you, Bruce?
Hey, cat name. Settle down.
He's watching the perimeters. You've got some creatures coming in. But they're not coming in, you're fine. But he's doing his job. He's just telling me who's there. Okay, so he's a good. I love that he's popped up on the couch every time we chat because he's like, "Excuse me, I've got a thing to say." Like, I'll pop his screen. But he's where were we? Sorry, I was talking about two things. The aortic erupt. But yeah, the beauty about the human heart. Okay, let's talk about the human heart because I want you to understand a little bit about just how bloody powerful you guys are. So the human heart, of course, we've got this fabulous muscle that pumps blood that you have absolutely no control over. That's the beauty of this thing. You cannot control this heart. Now, you've seen with organisations like HeartMath and organisations like that around the world, they've now proven, about 15 years ago now, they've proven that the heart has its own brain. It's only about 40,000 neurons, but it's probably not that.
We talk about it all the time, the heart brain, the brain, heart brain, and gut brain.
What we know. So let's talk. And in Stardust Ranch, the audio, you're going to listen to stories about electromagnetic frequency and electricity and all of the stuff that goes with that too. They now know that the electromagnetic field from the human brain is enormous. We're a phenomenal source of electricity, and it's not because of how the body operates. It's because of the spirit, the actual core and soul and presence of who you are. That is the untappable source and also the untouchable, but we'll get to that. The heart itself has its electromagnetic field is about 500 to 600 times bigger than the electromagnetic field of the human brain. The heart is the communicator. If you're going to have multidimensional communication, and I'm talking spirit, if you love God, he's in there too, life, source, universe, galaxy, all beyond that, everything that is existent, creation, everything that's not, because it just is. That's where you get it. You receive and you send from the actual heart. Now, I'm not talking the muscle here. I'm talking the core of your communication. No, not heart chakra either. They combine. Heart chakra, now, and I love this in the book, John describes it spectacularly, that the chakras that we know get spectacular. The larger one is the heart, okay, of the toroidal complex.
It's all donuts, everyone. It's all donuts.
Yeah. It's the toroidal complex, much, much bigger than this. What we call the axial field in the work that I do, we call it the axial crescent or the axial field, and it goes way beyond that. It's multidimensional. It works out of the 12 strands of multidimensional DNA that we are operating on, but we can only see 2, sometimes 3 in the human. More and more of that. The heart itself.
Yeah, but John had 9 at times.
Oh, my oath, yeah. And so the fact that they assaulted his heart is no accident. No,
it's completely done on purpose, right? Because John, as a time traveler, still has places he loves, others places. So if they cancel his heart here, the other place can still have the memory of this heart space here and re-engineer himself here. And it was one of the ways that he kept alive, because as long as there was a memory of the love somewhere and in other versions of himself, he could be reconstituted here.
Yep, that's right. And they actually tried to, once he was gone, they tried to stop that.
Yeah.
That's where he was. When I said that he was ripped from the body, he was ripped from the body before he wouldn't have gone. Yeah. He was ripped from the human body, and the human body was in such a weakened state that they just couldn't hold each other. He couldn't hold it anymore. But then he was pretty much entrapped and tortured until...
but that's that's the super soldier side of him, which is attempting to make him be in service even in death. But ultimately, there were plenty of angelic life forces that were going to help him through that journey and shatter that. It was just a matter of when.
I was going to ask a question like, this obviously doesn't sound like John. You know what? This happen. Did Team Dark, in loose language, did they cross a line? And what's the repercussions from this attack on John and Andrew and everything?
This is not about Team Dark. This was an individual action by a group that wanted to claim power over somebody else who's already claimed power in the area. This is cartel wars.
Okay.
And not human.
John was like the energetic sheriff of the land that had a whole bunch of posse members that could go into these smuggling routes and get the stuff being traded. It's not, they're not trading nuclear weapons. They're trading DNA.
Yeah.
And as I said, DNA is mostly memory. The technology behind memory implementation is how science can be added to new places, and you can learn all different sorts of new things as the dog appears. So the information exchange, the information exchange is what John would be able to shut down there, because there's some very negative information that's being streamed through that portal.
He held the armory. John was the armorer. He held the land, the armory, as only an armorer could. He could use weapons, but he knew he had greater warriors that specialized. And that's why he held that phenomenal space. He still does. John's like, his body's left. He's not dead. Be under no illusions. It's like, they tried to destroy him. No. And when I'm talking tried to destroy him, but they've also crossed, those that tried to destroy him have crossed basic universal law.
Yeah, that's what I was getting at.
That unlike the international courts on this planet, does have enforcement and repercussion. And so,
John as a sheriff had an energetic writ of like when they gave pirates, what is it, the writ that allows them to do anything overseas, any jurisdiction. A letter of marque, that's what it is. And once you have that letter of marque, you can be a pirate hunter. And John had that at the galactic level, letter of marque.
I would love to say to you that I'm not trying to get you to hero worship John, but you should, frankly, do it.
Right, unsung hero, and we're singing his praise today.
We are.
And to add, he was a nice guy. Like I've talked to him about 3 or 4 times. And remember that Revolution Radio interview we did? Bruce was hosting, and it was yourself, Bruce, Andrew, John, and myself. That's actually up on my YouTube channel if you want to go back to it. And it's like 2 hours. It's fascinating. On your perspective, Melissa, you'll find it fascinating because you'll probably go back there and see. Oh yeah. See, this is why
I'm doing it.
This is why we're Soul Family, because we love a good paradox.
Look, one of the things when I was selected to be an officer in the military, there was like 1,600 applicants, 63 got through, 2 of them were women, me. And the number one thing that brought me through was, or one of the things I really wanted was, I'm a masterful strategist. And so was John. That was one of the first things I loved about him when I connected with the whole thing. Masterful strategist. And so I just loved it. So I'm definitely going to go listen to that show because I want to hear it. I want to hear what he had to say. But
there he is.
After that interview, I think it was a couple days later, I had a talk with John about the forces that were lining up to and fro, and I remember giving him the phrase, it's like a cartel wars entered your space, and I called him the Attorney General then. And we stayed with that metaphor, Attorney General versus cartel, and that was to close down the smuggling routes. And then, some of the stuff that happened. Then after the first attack, I'm like, holy shit, they took the Attorney General down. Fuck. What the fuck?
Someone's going to pay.
Yes, someone's going to pay.
I didn't go, oh, there's no clouds in the sky. Thank God. It's actually
and after his first call, there was a wipe. There was a whole wipe on all the thugs that were on the land. They came back to knocked heads. Now, when he had to go back the second time, and I remember talking to him, I don't know, maybe it was a week, maybe 2 weeks before he had to go back. And we were back in that conversation and using the idea of the letter of marque and the different, just to give it a language of what was setting up on that land. And if people remember the politics at that time, everything was just upside down and inside out, and no one can figure out what was going on, which is what the multidimensionals want, because they're trying to introduce an alternate way of thinking. So just like we got alternate facts, just like we have 2 sides, Fox News versus the MSNBC news, and there's no center anymore. It's either left or right, both owned by the same thing. The duality owning the singularity. It's just the snake eating its own tail. And, then to see this, but after the second attack, I remember speaking to him more in spirit. I'm like, you have all these forces, John. You need to just set up and go, here's the hit list, and then go recover.
Yeah, he it's an amazing job. But look, when you listen to the actual book, you'll hear there's one particular it was meant to be a negotiation, but it was more of a battle, where a particular fabulous Dr. Brandy came on and brought a couple of warriors with her, and came to the land. And I think that might have been the very first time John really understood the multiple level cartel aspect.
Yes. Yeah,
like
yeah.
he talked about
Pablo Escobar, Galactic Escobar, yeah.
Yeah, and so I think he actually went, holy shit, this is enormous, particularly when things unveiled. But and an interesting story where I don't want to give any spoilers, but she was Dr. Brandy was actually hit with something, and that actually happened to me about 2 or 3 years ago, 2017. That actually happened to me. I've recovered a little faster, and I've come out of it so freaking angry that I'm just bringing in stuff I've never brought to this planet before. So, like,
that which does not kill you makes you super stronger.
Yeah.
Come back and hit him harder.
And speaking of which, with that, I also had a massive heart attack. Now I'm phenomenally healthy. Again, literal. And I had a massive heart attack with that same hit. They caused a massive heart attack in me. If you have any doubts about the ability you can use to actually sustain this human life with the healing process that I teach and do, I actually had full assessment of the heart about 6 months ago. For a short time, I had scar tissue. That was something I was going to say about the physical heart with John as well. Whenever the heart has a heart attack or has an assault or a malfunction in a human and survives, it develops scar tissue and becomes even harder to kill. The scar tissue makes the heart even stronger. The heart is a phenomenal. If you ever did biology, you cannot break a heartstring in the physical heart. It is an amazing, amazing structure. Oh my God, it's beautiful. It's just, I, by the way, love human biology, but it's a beautiful thing. If it actually has an assault and survives it, it becomes even bloody stronger. And that's what he pulled out with that aorta. No one survives a ruptured aorta, let alone in 7 freaking places. But of course, John did. And
the way that John's not Medina, the way that he would have taken it, because he was like a quiet, like he's kind of Texan in a certain way, if that makes, Bruce, how would you describe John? You know what I mean? He had that laid back of like, well, I think you've tried to kill me here, I'm gonna just come back stronger.
Whenever I was in a green room before John and we were waiting to do an interview and they'd never met John before, I developed this one-line descriptor and I said, you're going to enjoy this interview with John quite a bit. It's kind of like the Hells Angels meet E.T.
Yeah, he just had temperament. He just had I think that's the right word. He had just the presence where he wasn't batshit crazy. He was just like, I've survived, and I'm just here to share my story. I remember talking to Melissa a couple of days ago. John's mission really was to get the story out, and that's like hooking up with Bruce, and then Bruce just had out of nowhere, hey, Monty, do you want to do the audiobook? Okay. But Joyce was there to actually have the experience with John. So there was the counterpoint. And that's where when I first read the book, I was like 3 chapters in or something like that. It's like Joyce is the hero of this story. She was the anchor, and John was she doesn't want to do any of this messaging in the story. She lived the story. She doesn't want to share people the story. But that was John's mission. And so, there's still part of my curiosity, part of the brain of like, what will happen next? But
John's legacy will continue. And then from the other side, he's going to be making impacts here. It's just a matter, does he swing a big hammer, a sledgehammer, a wrecking ball, or is it one word at a time? One word from the other side can be quite destructive.
I just had an image of it's like, a calm Clint Eastwood type character while he's slamming down the hammer of Thor.
Exactly, the hammer of Thor.
You've upset me now.
I want a quick story to share, a John story. So as people might know, there was an opportunity that they were going to do a TV series or a movie with Stardust Ranch. And the group of us were in the background talking about potentials. And I said, I want to be there when they have to film John killing the alien and then stuffing it in the box and FedExing it. I want to be on that scene.
That's where my cameo. Where would my cameo be?
No, not as a cameo. I just want to see it being filmed.
For those who haven't, it's kind of spoiler. A grey is killed, and then it has to be shipped via FedEx, so it could be tested scientifically. And just the idea, it's like it was tested, and the people that tested died. Yes,
that's right.
So it sounds like a really bad version. It sounds like a rejected plot of a Hannibal Lecter film.
Right.
Yeah.
So guys, when I say that John was the armorer, and we, amongst many others that he's met, are the weapons that he held in the armory. But as much as I say that, don't think of it a weapon like something primitive like a gun or something stupid like that. Now, that being said, even more primitive in our so-called intellect is a sword. Actually, a sword is the ultimate weapon, but we can go back to that. But and that's, as I said, when I got hit by what I got hit by, which is what Dr. Brandy got hit by too, and I had the heart attack and everything, my answer to that was, don't fucking test my sword. You don't want to engage that fucking thing. And so it was, and that's where I'm at the moment, bringing new stuff out. But I did want to say, what were we talking about? With Joyce, you're absolutely spot on that she was very much the anchor, and John didn't need to be grounded. I hate that term. I'm sorry, everyone. I hate the whole grounding crap. But he didn't need to be grounded, but he did need to be anchored. And she did that on many, many levels for him. Even when they were clashing, when they first went there and they started, he was reacting to the shift in the electromagnetic fields in the house and everything, and it was causing him to enter a state of rage and everything like that, which, to his credit, he learnt to overcome. That's right. She, even the clashes where they were arguing all the time, was part of her anchoring him. And no one, honestly, none of us like that sort of really aggressive confrontational crap. It exhausts all of us. We all hate it. It's all nasty. There's stuff that comes out, emotional scars that always come from that shit. And I live all that too. I'm very human in that. I've got a lot of kids, and 4 of them are daughters. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's all I have to say. If you've ever had a female teenager.
How many are dating?
Don't start. Actually,
we gotta clip that look where the lip went up
and the growl. You can't see the whole of me, and I'm almost 50 years old on this planet now, and I've had 5 kids. But back in the day, I was a model because I'm tall, I'm blonde, and my body holds clothes and lingerie and stuff well. And it earned great money. Like, I'm talking from like 14 to something, because I'm way too intelligent to do that as a profession. But
they went from modeling to sniper.
That's right.
You're going to make a killing in this business. Oh, sorry.
So you can imagine when my girls are also like, the great term that I love now is when you exist in a high vibrational state, and this falls under the autism spectrum too. Okay. Now they've got the great term that it's neurodivergent, and you can imagine that all of my daughters are neurodivergent. They're my kids. They're born from me. They live in my vibration in my house. You can imagine, right? So with that too, there's an element in my girls where I would tell you that probably 2 of them are absolute. I think everyone is somewhat bisexual. I actually don't think anyone is absolutely straight or absolutely gay or absolutely any particular gender. And so there's so many now. There's so many letters that I won't even dance into that. Just go with the full flag, okay? And I would tell you that 2 of my daughters are definitely absolutely in the middle bisexual. Two are so young that they have no idea what I'd be talking about to say that. But so it's interesting when anyone comes home and is dating them, you know, I'm this natural defensive warrior, and I've been a sole parent most of their, like nearly all of their existence. So they've only been raised by me. And so try and imagine that some poor guy comes in, meets this tall blonde. My kids have had this horrible experience where they've gone through high school and stuff, and all the boys think their mother's hot and all that stupid stuff. Yeah, poor kids. But till they meet me. But try and imagine someone dating my daughters and coming into my house.
Mm-hmm. It'll be like a Bad Boys scene. Exactly. Good cop, even better cop.
I cannot even be like, number one, physically I can see straight through a body and see what's wrong with it. Like that's why I'm a healer. But they walk in and I see right through the whole of them. So straight away I'm like, you've got no future here.
Yeah, none whatsoever. You'll be gone in a week. I'm not even worried about you. You'll be home in time.
So they're pretty. It's an interesting. It's a very comic dynamic to look in upon outside the human existence, because it's.
What I like is,
I had, in case you're wondering about the healing thing, when I was 19 years old, I was diagnosed with uterine cancer. And to this day, it fascinates me that they didn't just do a hysterectomy, like, because I was 19 and it was unheard of. We're talking, how old am I? That would have been in the 1990s. So me and my timeline, sorry. And so they gave me the most hideous, it's actually illegal to use this chemotherapy now. And that was killing me way faster than any cancer could have. And I had no idea. I was 19, had no clue what was going on. I was meant to be just starting life out of high school, at uni, all that stuff. That back then they gave me 2 weeks to live. And I reckon I looked like a grey. Like,
well, also to be fair, to be
bald.
Yeah, but to be fair, they didn't say which 2 weeks.
No, they didn't. No, but it's but yeah, I had uterine cancer. They gave me radiation, they gave me chemotherapy, they gave me everything. There is no way I should have a child, let alone 5. All right. So if you have any doubt about how you can make this biology regenerate and rebuild itself, let me tell you about, while we're on the topic, we'll go back to viruses, but let's talk the vaccines that they've exposed our bodies to over the last 2.5 years or 2 years, the mRNA-based ones. If you've had any of them, the mRNA-based, fuck if it's a vaccine, but anyway, if you've had it, I actually had one. I did. I went into it because I needed to understand better what I needed to do for people to recover from it. So I actually exposed, my body's always the guinea pig. So I actually had it. It assaults.
Same here. I had it here, and I want to say something. I only had the first vaccine. I didn't get the second or the third dose, and it doesn't matter. I don't need it. As long as I've taken it, which is their rules. But there was a unique perspective change on how people stopped projecting at me.
Yes.
And that's something I needed to learn, of how strong that judgmental projection was. And as soon as I got that, I'm like, I understand the twisted, insidious way of what they're doing with this shit.
And then you also hit a fabulous phase of, and I don't give a damn anymore.
Right. Don't give a damn. Yeah. Exactly.
It's like, and really, what's in the last 6 months has been really pushed by, let's call it spirit. I call it spirit, multidimensionalism. Everyone out there that works with me, being pushed that it's time to push this and step out of the comfort zone and actually say to people, yeah, this is actually who I am, and this is actually what I do. I'm not just some blonde chick that you come to because you've got a cancerous tumor, but or whatever else. But with the vaccines, they actually assault the cell. Now, your body's made up of trillions of cells, right? The very core of your communication, your ability to communicate with all that is beyond, all that's on this planet, which we should be doing, but we're not, and all that is beyond it, lives inside, within the depth of the cell, right? Like way in, where your blueprint lives, where your Akashic record lives, where where all of that lives, that's where your ability to communicate is. So when the human cell has actually been assaulted by these so-called vaccines brought about by reptilians, you're losing that ability to communicate, and it's quite astonishing to watch in people. What we now know, or what I now know, because God knows there's been a lot of work in the last 18 months, you can actually heal that. You can actually reset the cell to its blueprint and heal the wound of the intrusion of this mRNA so that the body can then heal itself properly. What happens when I put someone in a state of quantum bioenergetics, right? When I put them in a state of vibration in a healing session, is I accelerate the cellular vibration of the whole body, and it can then communicate with itself far more clearly again and rebalance itself, heal itself. That's what happens. So I'm not actually the healer. What I do is put you in the right environment for you to heal yourself. And
it's that body wisdom that you help restart the programs, the Windows 10 that says, here's your body wisdom. Here's all the files, all the libraries that are all shared, and then you realize there's broken files. This library is not shared with this emotion and it can't heal. And then when you reset it, you can get back to that thing. And that's where people enter that faith-based state. And they've got to heal the broken strings of faith that have led them into an incompleteness. And the healing of the faith is the fact of getting out of hesitation and doubt and believing in yourself with a strength and moral conviction that does not falter.
That's exactly spot on. And so you can actually heal that in you can do that yourself. It can be recovered, and then the body can then heal itself again. The mRNA, people are hearing long COVID. You hear that term of long COVID. What that is something called MIMS. It's actually a multi-inflammatory organ syndrome. Mm-hmm. And so all the major organs, your heart, your lungs, your liver, terrifying. The liver also has its own brain, everyone. They haven't actually proven that yet, but I'm here to tell you it already does. The liver is an amazing thing. You can donate half your liver to someone else who needs it because, whatever life they've lived. And your liver will completely rebuild itself within a matter of weeks. It is an astonishing organ, the liver.
I think
it tastes good too.
My DNA lineage is Scottish, and so I think my liver is Scottish. It's like, no, we can do it. Just have another Scotch, you'll be fine. And here I am still today.
That's why the Scots are all sharing livers, is because they all drank theirs to death, and they got to share the healthy liver.
The liver basic doing that.
Well, that's how, right? I leave for a second.
Go, Bruce.
Say that again, Bruce.
I leave for a second, and it's nonstop slander.
No, I'm part Scottish. I'm pointing out that my liver is Scottish. Explains the heavy. It's not the emotional burden of existence in my life. It's that my liver is Scottish.
It's well scotched.
It's like a scotched egg.
Yeah. Don't worry, but my kidneys are English, so I won't go into that.
So Melissa, I want to redirect us back to some of the Stardust Ranch stuff, and we've got a terminology that I think can help people, and we've got this cartel takeover. What have you seen on the ranch post John passing?
Oh my God, it is like it's like Marvel's End Wars. The actual big scene where
the big fight.
Moment. It is on. And in several dimensional it's actually like, I actually love the Marvel films. I'm a bit of a nut like that, but that's what it looks like. And it's just, and there is no, what's his name? Thanos. There is no one evil source.
It's a bunch of evil sources competing to be the evil bad guy.
Look out. Saul's going to come up.
It's going to be a race. It's going to be a race to the first. That's what the evils are trying to do. Who will be first at securing the smuggling transport space during the transition?
And
that's the key.
Alert.
That's the key. Right. During the transition, they're going to get shit out before people generally experience it.
So, it's the bottom line is no one's going to win. Spoiler alert, everyone.
Sure.
But there is no actual winner of any player that's currently on the field there.
But you can't tell that to the cartel leaders because they're so idealistically driven. They don't care. Exactly. They're not even unaware of the greater things that are moving through here. Yeah.
So this is the update to Spiritual Narcos, Arizona.
So let me ask Melissa, who just finished the book. So What do you think? And this is the best Friday comedy show ever, by the way, even though I haven't spoken.
No connection.
Your smile's been huge. You're loving it.
What do you think separates this book from all the garbage in the exopolitics space? All the weasels living at MUFON, and John and I just hated those people. Hated them.
Look at like this. You can see I'm an author, and I've been speaking and training people all over the world and everything. So I've dealt with every goddamn irritating Hay House author and all the spiritualists and everything. Whenever I told you Sol would come back, you brought Scoffy in, Sol was going to come back. Don't mess with the cat and the dog politics. It's like, he's come back. No, put the cat away. I'm back. But I've got to tell everyone that part of my communication, I speak to animals, I speak with plants, I speak with all of that sort of stuff. It's fun being on Earth. And Sol is so happy that someone hears him. He's just like, look at him kicking back. Oh yeah, this is great. But he's so happy. Oh my God, she hears me. This is great. And he understands that we appreciate that he actually is a phenomenal force that was brought in to protect, not you, Bruce, your wife. He's been brought, he's guarding for her. So he's identifying who's at the perimeters. But your perimeter is held really well by your 7-dimensional people that you told to bugger off, apparently, but they still love you.
If they want to work for free, if they want to do that, that's fine. And I didn't tell them to bugger off. I just said I don't have time for this, right?
Yeah. And he said, schedule an appointment. He said, schedule an appointment. And etherics can't schedule an appointment.
hey, Roman numeral time here, buddy. Roman numeral time, right?
Melissa, did someone tell you this?
Sorry,
Bruce, something's wrong with your audio, Bruce. You gotta get a headset or come closer to it.
Did somebody tell you this story?
Which story?
7-dimensional beings.
No, I looked in on you.
She peeked.
Let me tell the story because it's really funny. Because
okay.
I'm like Laurel and Hardy going through these supernatural books, right? So I finished The Light of Darkness, and 3 days afterwards, I sit down a meditation. After about 10 minutes, this dude pops right into my mind's eye, and I'm like, whoa, like, holy cow, like, what's going on here? And I come right out of my meditation, and I call a friend of mine who's got a friend who is an ex-super soldier, and they do a reading, and they say it's a seventh dimensional Ligurian being, and he was protecting you throughout the writing of the book. And I said, well, why is he just communicating directly now? He said, well, you're relaxed, you finished the book. And he says, my friend says, what do you want to do? You want to close the portal? I said, yeah, close the portal. I don't want anything with this. He said the energy of the book opened the portal. So 2 hours after that, I call my co-writer on the book, Bob, and I'm on the phone Skype with him for 5 minutes. He's in Hawaii. He goes, well, hold on a sec. Yeah. Did you just close a portal on a 7-dimensional being? That book, you ungrateful about? I'm like, yeah, I did. I don't want anything to do with it. I got Netflix. I don't need this guy.
Hey, speaking of Netflix, this is a complete sidebar, and I'm not advertising for him because no one needs to. He's huge, but there's a show on Netflix. What's his name? He calls himself a medium, Tyler Henry, and if you ever want to see someone multi-dimensional who is barely being human, I love that guy. He is so no bullshit. Even though they've tried to, what did he have a show called Hollywood Medium? They've tried to really turn him into a woo, he's all, how many of those, like, I'm not going to defame other people, but I would, but I'm not going to. but he's still wonderfully here, but not here. And it cracks me up. Oh, there he is. It cracks me up that he calls himself a medium, and he does bring through the recently past, which when you listen to Stardust Rant, you'll understand more about what happens when a spirit leaves a human presence for a while. And it's all in the decision making. It's all choice about when you transcend and what you transcend through and everything. But he does bring through, that's his primary communication device, if you like, when he's talking to people. But he's seriously multidimensional in his communication. And I love how unpretentious he is, despite everything. And so he's oh, okay. Oh, I just saw the pronoun thing. Is Tyler a they, or have I offended someone?
I don't know. It's okay. We intend to offend on this show.
And again, I really stuff it for being human sometimes. So, I mean, no offense, but no, I have to admit, Bruce, the 7-dimensional thing, it did crack me up too. They're actually really good people to have on your side.
Well,
so
they're still here. So
yeah,
I'll do something tonight after the show to invite them back in. But I don't like getting distracted a lot. I've had over the years a few different groups try and come in and buddy up with me, and
Saul's trying to tell your wife. Did you hear what Melissa said? I'm protecting you. so yeah. Sorry, Saul was louder than you. Sorry, Bruce, keep going.
Oh, that's okay. So yeah, I mean, I recently had another one meditating about 7 or 8 weeks ago. This one scared the bejesus out of me. I believe it was an elemental. So just imagine like human form, but it looks like one of those owls that can blend right into tree bark. And I'm meditating, and this thing comes through, and I'm like, oh Jesus! And this happens to me all, and then so then I kind of figured out that was the elementals around here. But there's a much deeper story here, Melissa, about where I chose to live, the Talamanca
Oh yes, I
Mountain,
you go into that.
and everything. I mean, this is me finding this place is practically a coronation on another dimension.
So,
You're sitting on your Scottish Rite Stone.
The Bruce.
The Bruce. So let's get back to the ranch and the war that's being set up there. So basically, special forces versus special forces is what's going on there in the current metaphor. But it's going to advance now that we have an actual war in Ukraine and thousands of people actually dying. When the death toll raises, our world kind of reacts funny to it. And one of the things that's going to happen is you're going to see a death toll on other dimensions, which is then going to balance out here in another way, either through birthing or direct bringing in new people in this reality.
What you're also seeing in the Ukraine at the moment is walk-ins, and a lot of them.
Yeah. Yep.
And so it's that's something that has been it's concerning, but it's not. Some are good, some aren't. But it certainly adds to the so-called superficial war. And in terms of, when I say superficial, I'm talking about what we're seeing at ground level, if you like, of that.
Well, you're also seeing a complete breakdown of the Russian military. It is no longer the bear; it's the coyote.
But they, well, the other side of that too is, and I said this to you guys before a couple of weeks ago, this war is something out of World War II. The way Putin set it up, it's like he pulled out a war plan and said, I'll just use that one. I'll plagiarize something from Hitler and drag this out.
No, that's what his military put together. But the military is proving how corrupt it is. Like, they spent $600 million to get new tires for these vehicles, and 90% of the vehicles are stuck in the mud because the tires failed. And if the tires didn't fail, the automatic pressure adjusting system, which made the Russian military, it's made think it's an all-season, all-weather thing, it could operate, and it can't do nothing because all its technology broke down. They put these vehicles in fields for over a year, and they were unserviced. They're still dealing with hundreds of dead batteries and vehicles that are just left on the side, hundreds of $1,000 vehicles.
That's just
and
it.
Then no close air. Yeah. Then where was the close air support? Because no one was trained, because they sent conscripts in. Classic military blunder of the czars.
Yes. Don't send
history doesn't repeat, it rhymes. Mark Twain.
Interesting historical fact about Russia. Russia never won a war outside its borders and never lost a war inside its borders.
Yeah, it's a strange. It's almost like a strange subtext of the human race. Russia's really odd.
It's definitely karmic. Yeah.
Yeah, it's you would think that would be somewhere else enormous in terms of, when I say a country and a populace, it's enormous like China or India, but it's actually Russia that actually holds that strange separate karmic print. It's an odd thing to watch. And of course, increasingly, I don't know if anyone else has noticed this, but we're seeing less and less through public media, through privileged society. So, all of us that are actually on tech around the world, less and less is coming through the media about anything that's happening over there. And it's not because people are getting bored or whatever like that. It's actually because there's not a lot to say, like the Russian army's run out of petrol. They've run out of fuel.
Right.
And they actually have.
Well, I know it's a logistical disaster. Once again, they actually had to bring in commercial trucks because most of their trucks, because of lack of maintenance, broke down or were blown up because they were targeted by anti-tank missiles. It's just a failure of so much. And they're looking at, by the UN reports, I think it was 9,000 killed in action, and it's usually 1 to 2 times wounded. There's no way those Russian military hospitals are handling 30,000 wounded minimum.
Then of course the phenomenal, the figures, some of the figures you're not seeing is exactly what Andrew said about the conscript. The conscripts are what's it called? Surrendering. I was trying to remember the word.
Yeah. They're just giving up. Yeah.
They're surrendering left, right, and centre. Thousands and thousands of them, as soon as they get the opportunity and they're able to get away from whatever unit they're with, whatever section they're with, are surrendering to anyone they can. They don't want to be there. Don't send in a man that didn't make the choice.
Right. Not to mention, many of them were never told they were even going into a battlefield.
That's exactly it.
They just thought it was literally a training mission, which it had been for the last year.
And then on the flip side of that, you've got the SJW nut jobs actually trying to, I'm going to be a freedom fighter. This is just like Spain in the 30s. And they get there and they handed a weapon that probably doesn't work, 10 rounds, and told to meet over there in a field. And they're basically being used as cannon fodder. Yep. It's like, thank you for coming to our country. We don't like you. Please stand over there near guns. And a Russian military operative will be with you momentarily. You will know the sign. It will be a 6-pound bomb.
The disasters in the military are alone assure an extended war where they have to save face, and that's where whatever the negotiations are at now. It's Russia has to come out looking like it won the war. It can't lose face because of the disasters that are inside. And I guarantee you, Putin's rolling a lot of military heads right now for the failures that are going on. Not to mention, the Ukrainians have killed 5 top generals, assassinated 5 top generals. Of all the major armories. And if you know anything about command and control, when you take that guy out, holy shit, the morale goes just destroyed.
Well, it's like when was it? Was it 2019 when they took out the Iranian guy? I remember. Yes. I remember his Salami, but that's not how you say it.
Soleimani.
Yeah, I remember you doing a report on that because it was like, a new faction came in and removed him from the board, and it's like, well, this changed the timeline because no one saw it. It came out of left field, completely out of left field.
Yeah, that was Trump being Trump.
Yeah, I know. Well, actually, I've seen footage when Trump and Putin meet each other and they handshake, and Trump pulls him in, so he's actually in a Photoshop and in a photo op, and it's just weird. The people on the far left. Oh, imagine if Putin did this while Trump was president. I think this is why he didn't do it. He waited till Biden came in.
Yeah, he waited till Biden came in. Exactly.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's why the tanks are in the field for a year and a half.
Yeah, we wait for Orange Man to go home. Now I know, I think it's a rumor, but I like the story, so I'm going to share it. Apparently, at a G7 conference, Trump actually said to Putin, "If you go into the Ukraine, we'll bomb Moscow." And then he went over to Xi Jinping and said, "If you go into Taiwan, we'll bomb China." Now, at push and shove, at the end of the day, he probably wouldn't have done that. But he's a very large, egotistical New York billionaire man, and he's so bombastic. It's like, I'm sure the seeds of doubt of like, no, we can wait 4 to 8 years. We don't need to, why? Let's crazy man get out of White House.
Your accent's sensational.
Done. Oh yeah. It's you can tell when I start watching Outlander because I start speaking Scottish all the way through. Scoff chops. Would you like some food?
Look, I've just had they've come and gone. I wanted to ask Bruce several more questions about multidimensional being coming to him.
Yeah, I'm available for books too, Melissa.
You know, and absolutely no offense to you, but I actually author my own books. I write my own books. And so I actually do my own audio book. And I was actually wondering about Andrew's book, who's doing the audio. I was actually going to quietly try.
I think Andrew would do that because he'd be able to put in the right frequencies to it. Instead of like with what I find, it takes me forever to do an audiobook. But if you listen, as I said to you, I'm loving the audiobook. Yeah. Have you noticed I never take a breath? And so it's just one constant, the way that I've edited it, it's just, there's no breathing or anything and it's all timed. It's kind of freaky.
One of the bonuses of listening to Monty do this book is that he has the perfect serious monotone, like which is what a narrator needs to do for a book. Like he has to be impartial, if you like. In my audiobook for my first book, the initiation one, I'm not that.
Well, there's also a slight difference. I rather listen to audiobooks from the author. I actually got Sean David Morton's audiobook for Sands of Time, and because especially if it's fiction, the author actually performs the material the way that they wrote it, and so they know how the character is supposed to speak and everything else. Like now, obviously, Stardust Ranch is not really it's not fictional, but it's all one voice really. It's not character based and scene based and everything else like that. I just sort of got out of the way and went for a happy monotone instead of
I texted you about one bit where the last line you said, I'll have to look at the text messages I sent you, but the last line was something really dramatic and full on, like really confronting, and blah, 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 and then he goes, chapter 17, then he goes into the happy announcement of the next chapter.
Oh, yeah,
and you're sitting there kind of reeling from the last statement, and then you're like, like jolted back in.
I've noticed what I would do is I record it, takes forever. Then I would edit, which takes even longer. But then once the edit's done, I actually read along to myself with a physical copy of the book. I'm pedantic that way. Now, the thing is, I don't know the way it's been created, or maybe I'm a little slow. You kind of have to concentrate, because if you miss one little thing, like if you miss a word, the whole chapter just falls apart. It's like, what? And I noticed that it maintains. You have to maintain concentration in it, and you sort of explained that earlier. Where I went for a run, and after 10 meters, I started to walk because you start to focus to tap into more of the frequencies, and because it's my no plan. I just did what I did, and so I don't know what I did, but I'm happy that I did it.
Well, Andrew, are you going to narrate your own book?
I will at some point. So I have my own way of releasing. People are like, why hasn't the digital been released yet? Because I want to release on book first. I want people to experience it via book, and then I will release because we just released the Spanish copy. So for those that want to be a Spanish reader, the version is out now. Okay. And probably maybe the end of the year, I'll start recording. It'll be available sometime next year.
Yeah, I won't be doing the Spanish audiobook because I keep my Australian accent while speaking Spanish. It sounds funny for the first 3 minutes, but 8 hours of that, el momento, por favor, it's going to really upset people. What the hell, man?
No, I was going to say the audiobook is almost like a separate language again, a separate human language to the original book. And not least of all because you are entering, sound is a spectacular vibratory resonance. It's its own. It's a very unique one, and it's pretty much the only one that's consistent throughout galaxy, universe, everything else.
Right.
And so, someone's going to do the Sicilian version. But with my audiobook, when I recorded the first one for the first book, I did the. There's lots of Easter eggs because I'm telling anecdote and story, and so I'm hoping Andrew does this in his too, because it would be, I know I'd love it, but I do a little Easter egg where I'll do the whole, I'm following the script, I'm following the actual manuscript. And then I go, listen, just a bit of a sidebar. What actually happened and what extended from this? And I go more into the story and talk about it. Now, most of my stories, the anecdotes and various healing sessions and things that I've experienced, a lot of it is lampooning myself, because that's who I can pick on.
and learn from your own pickings.
That's where you learn. But yeah, I just it's actually been, mine's just been, at the moment, I should mention everyone, at the moment I've changed publishers. So, and my old publisher's a little bit miffed about that. So you can't buy my book and you can't get the audiobook at the moment because we're in this fabulous changeover. However, I did want to mention this quickly, and I hope this is okay because I didn't get a chance to run it by everyone. So you guys can shut me down if you want to. After listening to Stardust Ranch, I decided exclusively for this audience, for all of you here, I'm going to run an online course or training or something. It won't be for about another 4 weeks, and I'll give you all the links and everything next time I'm on the show. But I'm going to run a program it's a program where I can teach you the basics in QB, in quantum bioenergetics, to help you heal yourself, to help you heal your family, others, people you love if you want to. But also it's all about is lifting your vibration. That's what it is about. It's about actually accelerating your vibration and entering that self-consciousness, that self-awareness more, and I can't reiterate enough, that's where it lies. That's where your power lies. And so I will actually run a thing. It'll be like, I don't charge astronomical fees because you already have the ability to do this. I'm just a teacher, okay? I'm just showing you how to do it. So how to find it in yourself. But actually I've had no intention of doing this little course, little program until I've listened to Stardust this week and thought, wow, it's too important. I can't, if you like it or if you don't, talk about Stardust, get the audiobook out there. The audiobook is absolutely, buy the hard copy if you want to, if you love that too. But the audiobook is so goddamn powerful, and it's exactly what they don't want. And in terms of the collective subconscious of the human race, it is a superpower to listen to this book.
What you need to do is buy the audiobook, the paperback, and the hardcover, because that helps everyone involved. So, go super fan. We should start doing T-shirts. And and the way I explain it, when if you want to listen to me for 8 hours, well, now you can. And Melissa's done it, and she survived. So.
Actually, I couldn't wait to get back to it, and I can't think of an audiobook that I've been like that with.
Oh, actually, I've got a question for you. What did you think? Now, Bruce, help me out, because you wrote it so you have a better memory. I just said it and then forgot it. Is it the last 2-3 chapters where the positive aspect, because I think the way that Bruce laid it out was like a mini trilogy, where there was the concept of the monthly bill coming into 1880, and just wondering what you thought of just the end of the book, where it stopped really talking about what was happening, and it's sort of like, okay, where can we go from here?
Yeah, the thing is, as much as you may not like some of the stories in the earlier chapters, and you're thinking, oh my God, this is, it gets good. And so that's pretty much what I'm going to tell you about the last couple of chapters. You hear about what's gone on and why it's gone on and what the answer is, and which unfortunately I'm a bit of a spoiler, okay, but I've put a few spoilers in that. But also, there is positive, there is light. There's a lot of sorry, the whole everything's decided it's not working and someone's assaulting my device. But,
well, a quick happy full moon to everyone. So if you're feeling sort of a bit nutty, it's the friggin' moon again.
And everybody, happy beginning of equinox. And for all of those out there that are doing your due diligence of ritual and ceremony, you got to get out there and do something for yourself to recognize the interconnections and things that you've got for these first few months and the next few months coming. So this is a reminder: C+ students do C+ effort, A+ students do A+.
I completely forgot about equinox. It's that I'm so lazy as a Time Lord now. I don't care about time. Oh, whatever.
Well, technically, you can't be a Time Lord if you don't care about time.
I'm lazy caring about time. I'm not caring, but I'm just lazy about the caring of being a time lord. Yeah. Anyway.
What was I going to say? I've heard from it. Oh, Andrew, you mentioned John was Arcturian.
He had a lot of stuff in him, but yes, Arcturian was one of them.
That would make a lot of sense. That would be his John Wayne swagger, wouldn't it? Like, I didn't identify that in him, but he's certainly a phenomenal mixed bag. And so he's
well, there's a lot of stories that didn't make the book that I've heard retold, or stuff that Bruce has retold to me also. That's just solidifies the type of person that John was. Bruce, are there any stories you want to share and stuff maybe didn't make the cut in the book, or something you feel like you want to say?
Well, I mean, the real story is John before the ranch. I mean, that is an equally extraordinary story. His ability to communicate with extraterrestrials, and I mean physically. I mean, he in the 70s he had a Nordic girlfriend for 3 years, and
that's nice.
Yeah, seriously, and a lot of there was so much to John. It was really about paring down the story to make it palatable, right? Because it just, so that's why we just told it a very unusual narrative structure in that book. It's not 3-act, but it kind of mimics 3-act structure, and it was very difficult to encapsulate John. I'll tell you a little story about when I quit the first time. So we were, one of the reasons John came out, and I met him through a person who knew him. And this person called me and said, this guy wants to write a book. You're not going to believe this story. And I said, okay. And, I was taken by the story, and I said, okay, I'll write it. So this was about 2012. And then I quit. Now, you want to know when I quit? I quit after Levengood and his wife got killed. So that was the guy, the botanist, who received the DNA from the dead gray alien. And they said, okay, it's not time. It's too dangerous to write this book now. I'm out of here. And then John was the first person I said aloud to, I think I'm going to pull up stakes, move to Costa Rica, and build an earth bag house. And then when I hooked up with him again in 2019, he said, how's everything going? I said, remember what I told you about Costa Rica and the earth bag house? He said, yeah. I said, yeah, I did that. And he didn't believe it, that I'd actually done it. And I said, this environment I'm living in now is very conducive to writing, and I want to get back to book writing. Do you still want to write the book? And then we did it, and it was fantastic. And I really enjoyed talking to John. You could talk to John for hours, and I mean, on any topic. And, no matter what you thought you knew about something, if you brought up the topic with John, you would get a slightly new twist on it, no matter what the topic, JFK assassination, whatever. And like I said, John knew everybody. Okay. Whoever John Edmonds was, it's never been really captured in a book. All right. I mean, John knew everybody, former president, he just, like, everybody knew John. And he was a very, very formidable force. I mean,
what I remember, if I can interject just very quickly, is after I read the book and I completed the audiobook. And then I think I can't remember if it's in the book or so. He's in an episode of Ghost Hunters, which is 45 minutes if you can find it. It's worth a watch. But I'm watching that, and this is after all those hours doing the audiobook and basically living, breathing that frequency. They're 12 minutes into the episode, and this is unbelievable. Like the 12 minutes of just explain, and it's not everything. It's basically everything in the book, which is what 30% of what actually happened type thing. In 10 to 12 minutes, you're watching this episode, and just my little 3D brain mind's just going, this is unbelievable. This is not possible. And what I find interesting is this is after I read the book and doing the audiobook, and I'm still blown away with, because they just go bang, 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 bang. If you actually read through the list, you get to about number 7 or 8, and your suspension of disbelief just shatters, or you know what? I can't. I've got this. I'm talking to three writers. What am I trying to say? You know what I mean? Where it's like it's so overwhelming, but it's true because it's so not normal, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So that's my memory of John. It's just one of the most unique human beings I've met. And, you know, I was a little bummed out when he left. You know, I was bummed out for about a week. It just, you know, I honestly, I thought the guy was unkillable. And, you know, but I think he got, you know, I think getting the book done was a big thing for John. You know, he had been trying for like 8 or 9 years. I can't begin to tell you how many people started the book and got halfway through and quit. Everybody. It happened 3 or 4 times in 8 years. And
a bit like the Mormon.
Yeah.
The
Mormons. The
Mormon.
Mormon. I mean, to this day, the Mormons won't go near him. He's like, he's like the Mormon devil in Arizona.
The Mormon exorcism is a classic.
Because he doesn't wear the magic underwear.
Yeah. All right, Elder Tommy, we're just going to go down into Arizona here. And what about that ranch? No, we don't go there. We do not go. That's where the devil lives. We move further down.
So that's the devil's devil. That's what the devil tells his little devil kids about to be afraid of at night.
That's a devil ranch. Guess what they raise there? Devils. That's right.
Devils.
It's a ranch of devils.
Hey,
it's a good book.
Was I'm sorry to expand on one of the anecdotes in the book, but the Bigfoot thing, you know, the Bigfoot, like he was a gigantic Sasquatch. What was it?
You mean the Michelin Man?
No, not the Michelin Man. It was like a gigantic Sasquatch that just walked. He was in his workshop. He looked out, saw it walking across the property. Went, "Oh yeah," and kept going in his workshop. He was so used to it all by now.
That's
the
the Michelin. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Free.
Where the hell that from? What's that from? I couldn't identify with that at all.
I don't know. John told me his brother was there one time, and his stepbrother is an ex-Navy SEAL and fired about 10 rounds into one of these things, and it didn't even flinch.
Yeah.
Right. You know, a lot of people listening to us think we're just crazy.
Yeah.
You know, this is like a whole other reality we're discussing. But it's real. I mean,
it's multidimensionally real and real at the same time. It's real.
The delusion that and it's purely out of conditioning, like psychological conditioning that we believe that a gun is actually going to solve it. And a gun's, as I said, it's a very primitive weapon. Think about it, where it's just firing a piece of metal. I mean, I know rounds are probably no better than you, that rounds are incredibly more advanced than this now, but it's actually quite a primitive weapon, and it's very easy to not hit what you're aiming at. The fact that a sword or something more that actually takes on your vibration that's in your hands, that actually is a more powerful weapon, is something that, like, even if you look at, and this is one of the things I loved, another thing I love about this, part of the topic that John talks about is the fact that how many movie makers have tried to communicate this stuff. How much the information about this has actually permeated and tried to be delivered to. The other side of that is how much of them have tried to debunk and make you look like a bloody idiot if you think you saw something. But there's that side too. But there's like, even if you think about in a Marvel film, they prefer a sword to a gun. They can play with electromagnetic weapons and pulses and things like that too, like in any of your space films or any of your films that are entering multiple dimensions and stuff. But it's, the bottom line is that if you're going to arm yourself against anything you might feel is negative that's coming in from any other dimension, so anything alien, anything extraterrestrial, anything that you might consider to be a spirit or even angelic. Some people want to, but angels, and John addresses this too. He talks about the fact that an angel may not be the that you think they are. That's right?
That's why disintegration weapons are encouraged.
Well, there's an element of what you're saying is why Star Wars resonates with humanity so much. There's an element of I think they're being linked to the Orion Wars, but the Jedi themselves is, they've got a flaming sword. It's a lightsaber, which is just a well-controlled laser.
That's right. Just a tech sword.
That's the bane of all vampires.
Yeah.
I'm here, Dracula. I have a lightsaber. Oh no!
But I actually have silver in my sword. You're a dead man. Like, so you don't need a silver bullet. You just need silver. But it's but yeah, there's what Bruce has just said about John. When I think more about what's in the expanse of this particular manuscript, yeah, John talks about every topic with wisdom, doesn't he? It actually, yeah.
He has entered the folklore status as part of his passing, because there are laws to history when somebody passes. What is their legacy, and then how does that legacy percolate with the reality afterwards? As we were saying before, there was the potential of John selling his story at a bigger level before he passed, and the irony, shortly after he meets with those people, he ends up in the hospital. We're not going to get to the details, but he ends up in the hospital, and then 7 months later has passed. 6 months later, yeah.
Let's also, and so there were quite a few things happening when John was struck. So the one thing was the TV series, the subscription TV series, and then we'd also been approached by a couple of scientists, a postdoctoral fellow at Harvard Medical. I got actually reached. I'm not sure they've heard the news. And another guy in the field who has a PhD in medical physics, and they wanted to do an experiment and put a small device, and it was all set to go. I mean, it only needed a couple kilobytes of data every second, so there was nothing to it, and so all of this stuff was on. It was like John's moment, and then he disappeared. So I mean, the big question now is, what is Joyce going to do? What is she going to do with it?
I hope she rests. She hasn't slept for a few decades. So, not really.
And also, being a camera, they're watching TV, and then two centurions walk past them. That type of that, even if it becomes normal, that's still weird, because of the element of what's actually on that ranch. And what's a basic way of describing it? An 8,000-year-old time portal that everyone wants.
Yeah, portals where
yeah. It's definitely, everybody wants that space more than just the smuggling route. There's something under the ground. We'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, that's yeah.
Read the book. Very attractive for beings.
Yeah. It's like a crossroads. Someone asked in the chat how they link to the other one, Skinwalker, and what's the one in the middle?
Blind Frog.
Yeah.
No. Bradshaw.
Bradshaw. Sorry. Yeah.
Those three are all roughly in a line up and down, and two of them, and the Bradshaw one just activated in 1991 because they made a lot of Western movies in there, but they're all in a line. And so now with John's passing, will it end up in government hands like the other two? And there's a lot
that they're being held off.
Yeah,
it's
really fascinating.
But they're caught in their own red tape.
Yeah.
So they can't do it without exposing stuff. They don't want anything exposed. They're caught in their own bullshit. So that's fun watching the human system trying to I find all this entertaining. But they're actually they're going to try to. As I said, I want Joyce to be taken care of, and that's actually something I would really, even financially, I want it to be taken care of properly. Yeah. Even at that superficial level. And so at the moment, like, as I said, I'll hold her until I don't have to hold her anymore, which might be the rest of this lifetime, who knows. But
in a good story, she would have she's lost, John is not here, which I don't think was the plan, obviously, but I would say she gets a gift or reward for going through what she's done. get off the front lines now. You're going home. You're being rotated out, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? Where it's hopefully it's not crap for the rest of her life. It's like, no, you've done your part. Sit down. Let the you've done well for the team, but now you can rest for the rest of the game.
Well, there's that, but there's also, we see it happen a lot of times. People that are super energetically connected, people that have been married for 60 years tend to die a matter of weeks apart.
Yeah.
They're energetically connected. Well, to say there's really not very much at all I would describe energetically about John and Joyce, because it's so much bigger than just an energy. But she was very, very connected to John. So if she chooses to leave, so be it. Whatever rest she needs, she's
well, that's yeah. I think that's why there's that we don't know what's happening, because we can't make the choice. And I'm sure, I don't know if there's any potentials that we can sense. It's like I think Joyce has to make a decision, and then the story will start to move again.
Well, Bruce, would Joyce want to tell her version? Would she want to tell her story?
No, I don't think so. No.
She never really.
Yeah, I got the sense that, John wanted to keep her out of it, wanted to keep her out of the public space, because it was just so vicious. Yeah. I mean, the way John was treated by everybody in the UFO industry, I think he's the most important UFO figure of the 20th century, more so than Billy Meyer, way more. And you've got this sort of MUFON industry. We kind of make fun of it in the book. I mean, you've got the fourth wall chapter where we talk about John Mack and abductions, because John didn't want to talk about his abductions. It's extremely personal, being abducted. And
just interrupt it. That chapter, incredible research. Full credit to you.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, thanks. Yeah. That's what I do. I'm a technical writer and I have a journalism degree. So this is all my bailiwick. And John wanted to keep her out of it, but I don't know. I think she's stepping up now. We're Facebook friends, and she's starting to post the kind of photos of the sky that John used to post. Like it's like the new sentinel of the ranch or something. I hope she needs help there though. Somebody has to move in, another couple or something, or she can't live there alone. And then they had a lot of animals. Like John loved animals. He had horses. At one point he had about 30 or 40 Rottweilers. His nickname was Roddy John for Rottweiler. And they ran a horse shelter called Hopeful Hooves. And there's been a lot of movement with the animals and stuff. This is incredibly traumatic for Joyce. And there's just way too much work for one person to do there. I mean, so the way they split up the work was John took care of everything at the ranch, and Joyce still had an office job. And there's no way Joyce can do all that stuff now. So the last I heard, they were looking for homes for the horses and all of these sorts of things, right? So I don't know. Yeah.
Well, let's create that for her, because there are people that can move on to the property with her that she knows. There's someone that she could take on that would readily do it. But sorry, I'm just watching Soul. Is that Soul behind you?
No, that's one of the cats.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I can't. The camera's cut half of it off. But
Soul's sleeping behind him, and then the cat's on the other shoulder. It's that classic devil angel. There's a cat dog relationship.
But we need to create that someone powerful goes in there. Like, honestly, and maybe I can put that out there for all of us. I would love all of us to walk on the property together. It would be.
Yeah.
I've asked that question other time. A lot of people on this call, certain people said, "I'm not going there." But if I'm with you three, I'll be all right.
So what Andrew said earlier, without going into there is something under the ground. John and I spoke about this, and people know this. Okay, so they've one of the things that happened to John is that all kinds of teams went out there to do testing. So Robert Bigelow of Bigelow Aerospace, kind of, Elon Musk has sort of taken center stage for a public figure in the private sector space industry. But there's this other guy, Bigelow, and he's more of a sinister type character. And he had his people go out for 3 weeks, and John does the same deal with everybody. He says, yeah, you can do your work, but I need a full copy of the report. And when he gets the report, 80% of it is blacked out, and so Bigelow knows there's what's under the ground, and so look for him to make the move. So, and I'll tell you, this Roadrunner Coyote thing with Bigelow and that ranch is going on for 10 or 15 years. So even when the experiment started up, they started with just getting our consent to do it, and we said yes, and then they went out and got their funding. And then we got an email, and we had a meeting, and they said, okay, the funding's in place. And then a week later, they recanted. And the reason they recanted, and this is the Harvard Medical and the other doctor, is that they found out that it was Bigelow through a shell company that wanted to fund and apparently from anybody deep in this exopolitics world, that the name of the game is stay away from Bigelow. I don't know who he is, if he's a front figure for the CIA secret space program or what, but extremely aggressive, extremely belligerent. And what, John used to say, if he gets a hold of any of the knowledge and technology on this property, it won't be good for humanity. And John had offers. Chinese intelligence made an offer on the ranch through a proxy. And John wouldn't sell it. So this is the big question now: is what's going to happen to this? So, and especially given the state of the United States now, right? So somebody else may come in and get it, a foreign entity. But I don't think the American intelligence would be so distracted that they would let that go to foreigners.
Well, if they've got the other two, they want 3. Like they would definitely want to have 3, because some person wearing a white coat in a bunker somewhere has probably postulated that the 3 of them linked up, there'll be a network or something or blah, blah, because it is fascinating there. Is it longitude? Whatever the line, up and down line on a map, they're either they're flush or they're very close to each other in the actual. They're on the same. Is that a ley line? Obviously. Well, that's what I mean. Like that would be part of the experiments and some of the questions of like, well, how can these 3 properties up and down the United States have all similar things? And as I said, the Bradshaw one only activated in 1991, which is fascinating. Which was
when a lot of the because the whole Arizona, New Mexico area has always been renowned for this stuff. Like it always has been. But a lot of the vortexes in Sedona and places like that, people love all going to the vortexes and stuff in Sedona. A lot of them are really old, really outdated, kind of not functioning anymore, need a bit of a cleanup. Like if you were to, which sounds weird. I mean, there's still an enormous amount of feeling when you go to Sedona, like it's airport's famous for how often their machinery fails, how often you can't see stuff on radars and stuff because of all the vortexes and everything. And one of the big ones there is actually in the landing strip of the airport, which is really badly placed.
That's why I like to say about is when you go there, it's the Las Vegas of sacred places. You never know what you're going to get, and the house always wins.
That's right. Exactly. That's exactly
what happens in Sedona stays in Sedona until you put it online.
No, never. Everyone loves telling you if they've been to Sedona. I mean, I've been to Sedona. Do you hear me brag about it? Nah. But it's it's like,
so I got a quick John story I want to share. One of the conversations that we had, I think it's probably maybe the first or second time, right after Bruce introduced me, or another call where Bruce and I were there, and we're talking about the ranch needs a steward. And with the passing of John, technically it falls to Joyce. Joyce is still in transition. She's going to figure out what she's going to figure out. But the land owned without a steward is not the land. A steward of the land completes the energetic algorithm that makes that land super valuable as a smuggling route and all the other things there. So post John, whoever buys it still has to find somebody to take on the karmic contract to be that steward. Previous guy just got offed.
And that's why, like, I mean, you read the book and the question that keeps coming up, why stay there? And it explains in the book, but also as we've sort of talked about, is that John wanted to hand it off to the right person. You just couldn't
Correct.
sell it to anybody. It's
Right.
got to be with the right thing, as you just pointed out. Where, yeah, he could have taken Bigelow's first thing and like, yeah, cool, walked away, got some money, but no, because the ramifications of that decision would have been disastrous. And I think that's where what we're sort of inquiring about with Joyce is like, well, is she going to be able to make the right decision for her and not coerced into something or forced or anything?
So I had the ongoing joke with John that he needs to put a roller coaster on the land and make it like a theme park. And he laughed and howled at that. He said they'd never let it happen. Could you imagine what a roller coaster on this ranch would be like? The tickets you could sell multi-dimensional, man.
Well, remember those machines? I think they still have them called the gravitrons, where they just used centrifugal force. Yeah, I wouldn't build one of those on a Stardust Ranch. Well, it's taking off and it's heading towards Saturn.
No, you want to run the roller coaster through the portal.
Yes, that's what I was telling you. Saying run it right through the portal.
Oh, thank you, Tina. Welcome to Stardust Mountain. We've got horses.
It would have been great. I love that. I think, and you hear it in the book, because he was looking for the integrity of the holder, for the steward, not for the biggest price, obviously. I think you could hear in the story when Dr. Brandy came to the property that he thought he may have found the steward. I think.
And then he quickly learned. Nope.
When that's not her path. But,
Yeah.
And that's exactly right. But it was you could hear it there. That's, I think, one of the few times I heard his a hope of relief or of fatigue, if you like, when I was listening to that.
I can tell you they're still in touch, Joyce and Brandy. Like Joyce texted me about a week and a half ago asking about the hardcover. And I said, oh, it's up on Amazon now. And Brandy was buying a hardcover for a friend. She's a very interesting person interview. I did 3 interviews with her. She was very shy. Like I had to talk her and I said, can I use, are you going to stand by this story? And, people have trepidations because, the 2 Syrians she went there with, which were both walk-ins, they both got Men in Black visits. One was institutionalized in an asylum and the other one disappeared with his family.
Yes.
Now, I don't want to scare people, but this really goes on, right? There are things you can't talk about in this world. And if you do, these people are, that's one of my favorite stories. Talk to John off air about like just this guy with a handlebar mustache, 290 pounds, Hell's Angel, walking halfway down his driveway while cleaning guns on his picnic table to talk to 2 men in black that he just watched phase through the metal gate at his ranch. The fuck?
It's about the poor neighbor. The poor neighbor that witnessed that guy will never recover.
Yeah, but you got to understand, John. He would approach two men in black coming up his driveway the same way he would approach a 14-year-old kid selling a subscription to the daily newspaper delivered to his door. Like, no difference. Like, what do you want?
Can I help you? Yeah.
So getting back to the whole land steward idea thing, because John would talk about that often, about being a steward of the land and that passing it on to the next level of people was very, very concerning. Then with the whole Robert Bigelow things, where will it go from here? I think the land is going to finish its thug warfare, and a new attorney general will be installed in that place, and will make a whole bunch of ICE raids, immigration raids on the smuggling that's going on there, and from there, who knows what's going to happen. I'm willing to bet the other ranches are being hit as hard, or if not harder, than Stardust.
Okay, that's it.
The battleground is right across them, like all 3 of them.
Well, I would the public recognition of these places influences those places. Mm-hmm. Think of multidimensional observation when all of a sudden skinwalker became a common household word. And people who had never thought of it, who have random psychic skills, are going, I'm tuning into this place. It's scaring the other side. They don't want it to be a TV show.
On many reasons. Yeah, I've seen it. I understand. I was going to ask, my question was going to be why now, but you kind of half explained it, is energy flows where the gaze goes, or whatever that quote is. And so if just humans with their awesomeness powers are looking at something like this, it will piss them off because they don't want to be known. They don't want that, the observation of it is giving energy to it.
And changing its potentialities, as well as humans tend to throw wrenches when they see stuff they don't like.
Yeah. And that's obviously you try and be a neutral observer, but the classic thing, any science experiment is tainted by the observer. And it's like, I remember having a conversation with Andrew about, I watched all of Time Team. Yeah, I need a hobby. Let's move on. But they would try and do divining rods, and it would never work, because someone in the group filming it probably didn't believe. And then Andrew and I figured out, and also half the audience watching it couldn't believe. And so energetically, the divining wouldn't, like they could find water when the camera's not on, when it's just three of them. Oh, look, it's real. But you try and record it, but someone who doesn't believe, it's like, Tinkerbell and Peter Pan and all that type of. Oh, some of you don't believe, and that's why it doesn't. Like, it's not working.
Like right now, there is somebody on 2297 listening to your version of the audiobook of Stardust Ranch and going, it's out there. It's forever out there.
It sounds like a very attractive man.
Look, at the moment we're in this. There's so much shit happening around the world, and the last 5 years have been hellish for everyone, for the entire human race around the planet, okay? Mm-hmm. But the collective, we've reached this beautiful tipping point. So before you think, oh, my God, we're all going to die, the human race is such a subspecies, here we go. And, yeah, we're way behind in our own evolution. But at the moment we've hit this beautiful tipping point, even if you believed all the bullshit about the coronaviruses and all that stupid shit, all right, even if you believed that and you were completely sold on what they told you on TV, that, oh, my God, you're going to die, you've got to get your vaccine, get more vaccines. Oh, what? People are still getting it. Weird. That's not how a vaccine works. But anyway, all of that. We've reached a tipping point in the collective human subconscious where we don't believe that shit anymore. There's a question.
Exactly. We don't believe that shit no more.
That's right. There's a question that's arrived even in the most brainwashed of propaganded person, that they're like, this doesn't match up anymore. The math isn't meeting its answer. It's like people are starting, that doubt has come in, and that's where we needed the tipping point in the underground collective subconscious of the human race. Now we have the chance to evolve. We haven't evolved for the last 50 years. You watch Monty Python, like watch Holy Grail, right?
Yeah, Flying Circus.
1973, I think that came out, and you will see that with all the technology that's developed in the last 50 years, human society has not evolved one step.
Socially,
Yeah, socially, we are still back there. All the comedy in that movie is still current, politically and socially. It'll still crack you up, which is good.
I remember Elon Musk sharing, it's not about Elon Musk, but the meme that he shared, and it was great because he probably saw it from somewhere else, but the meme's out there where you've got someone wearing a mask and it's got 17 syringes in them, and so you've got that side of COVID, and then you have the unvaccinated glowing pipe, and the text is, and they're both saying, why aren't you dead yet? Because it doesn't, like, the unvaccinated, you're still alive. Oh, but the vaccinated, you're still alive. And that level, it's just not the mainstream, hang on, this is bullshit. It's rippling out into the alternative media and even the woo-woo as well. Because I'm so glad that I'm glad I just pop it onto Conspiracy World once a week, because I couldn't live there. There's no way I'm living there anymore, because these people are weird. But you know what I mean? There is that moment of change where people, their bullshit detector is being activated, and it's across the board with everything. And it's not about doubt. It's like when, the whole Ukraine-Russia thing, when it started off, my first reaction is like, something's off here.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Exactly.
Something's off here.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And it's like, and my response was, I'm not going to engage in that. And it's like, you think from what I do with all the shows I do, like, it'll be, I mean, I talk about it occasionally because there's the stupidity gets onto my radar for comedy. But my initial reaction was like, yeah, okay, something's way off. Like way, way, way off. Something so deep and way off.
To steal a line from Spider-Man, you had your Monty tingle.
Yeah. Speaking of which, I'm going to quickly go for a toilet break. I need to have a tinkle, so I'll be back in a second.
Will you go have your tinkle break?
Thanks.
Go
Mom.
lose the little boy's room.
No sharing, Mont. Do we need to know that, really? But no, that's the beauty of it at the moment. That's where the power lies, in that the subconscious and is where the human race has a chance. That collective. And so
how do we get people to retune their bullshit detector?
Look, I think what's actually happening is effectively like an entrainment. We're seeing that resonant entrainment occur where there have been enough in the tipping point that have raised the question and said, what is going on? This doesn't add up. That by osmosis, through that entrainment, that vibratory shift in it, the rest of the populace will be taking that on. If they're open. If they're not, if they're a walk-in, if they're a crossbreed, if they're whatever ET involvement they are, obviously they're not going to be hit by it. And so you will still have backlash. There's still going to be that game of power of who holds what, because we've had this intrusion upon the human race, be it genetic, be it DNA, be it ET. Since probably World War One was, I think that's what John said, wasn't it? World War One, World War Two. It was in that intrusion. If you've ever heard of entity attachment, anything like that, now that's something that I do deal with in clients. That occurs. The only way someone or something can attach, intrude, whatever upon you is, this sounds horrible, but if you allow it. Now, that doesn't mean you consciously go, okay, possess me.
Or have a frequency match to it from an unhealed trauma.
It's when your vibration drops. It's when if you're an alcoholic, if you're in a fragile emotional state, if your own vibration drops lower, is when you become available for that sort of thing. And it's usually under some sort of synthetic narcotic or synthetic intrusion, something like, as I said, someone like alcoholism or something like that. But it's also in a weakened state of being. And try and imagine what happened in the human psyche when World War I occurred and World War II occurred. The collective subconscious certainly lost its vibratory hold, didn't it? It was World War, and people you loved were dying, and you weren't hearing it because we didn't have the tech we have now. People weren't hearing about the truth of what was going on until a lot later. That's why Hitler got away with what he got away with for so long as well. He had the denial of communication worked in his favour for years. It was
instead of plausible deniability, they had implausible deniability.
That's right. And with that, in that horrible state of the unknown, but knowing something horrible is happening and feeling it through the shift around the planet, there was a lot of diminished capacity. And that's where a lot of these intrusions occurred. Bruce, everyone, as you'll see in Stardust, they do talk about it. So there is enormous, that's where presence became in the human race here, in this era of the human race, like in this sample, if you like. But, oh God, I'm getting... From when Bruce mentioned, I don't know if this is right or not, but the Harvard people that wanted to do the tests on John and all of that, they could do that. They could do that on Brandy or on myself, and there are others. So I can't believe I'm putting my hand up for that because I hate people testing me. But whenever we've done, in terms of the work that I've done on the planet, in terms of healing, I've openly done research. I've openly exposed myself as the primary tool, the primary vehicle that they're actually assessing, and as such, and the results have been so astonishing that we are published in scientific journals all over the world, and so people are really healing. Oh, what a surprise! But it's like, sorry, excuse my saying.
That's how we met. Remember, a mutual friend. Yeah, and I do remember it's like I had my shields up for whatever from what I was going through. Yeah, like I can't connect with him. Yeah, meanwhile I'm like, fuck off.
Yeah, that's what he was like. And I'm here to tell you, he walks in to my clinic where he was one of several hundred people that I worked on. Oh my God, I was exhausted from that one. And was completely opposed, completely negative. He's walked in and my heart's gone, oh, thank God you've arrived. Where have you been for this round? You know, like, because we've gone through many lifetimes together. And his is fuck off.
You guys like, you got to earn it, bitch. We don't have no experience yet. You get nothing from the past life.
Well, that's the thing. That's part of like my superpower of not knowing. Like, my life as a 3-dimensional being is like retirement or a furlough, which I find fascinating. On the other side, I'm doing all weird shit. I remember now. I don't know any of this. Melissa will have to back it up.
So you came here for you came here for the vacation and doing all the work over there.
Yeah, basically, because apparently when I'm sleeping or in 4th dimensional, Melissa, you know when I take you down wormholes, explain that story. Because it sounds perfectly like me, but I have no recollection of it. Like I think I would grab Melissa's hand and like, look, cool wormhole, and drag her down a wormhole, and I just go beyond the speed of light by about 10,000 times. It gets so nauseous that I nearly make Melissa throw up in her physical body.
Physically,
and I wake her up.
The body here tries to vomit because it makes me so bloody travel sick. It's just,
there's your lazy time lord.
Oh, this is why you gotta punch him in the multi-dimensional balls when he does that.
He'll come.
I'll slow you down.
He does. I put him into a treatment, into a session. This happens. We end up going on this mad journey. He comes out of session on this side in this body. I bring him back in. You know, I wake. He gets up off the table and he goes, "I didn't feel anything."
Yeah, the rest of me did.
Grow up. And he's just. It is his superpower to not really understand who he is or how powerful he is, and I hope he always, in this life, I hope he maintains that this deliberate ignorance. You know,
super disbelief man.
Yeah,
that's his special power. I can disbelieve in anything.
He's his own deliberate misdirect. He's just
yeah, like my 8-year-old inner child's like, oh sure, mum, you know, you're a multi-dimensional, you're whatever. God, leave me alone.
All right, guys, we've reached the end of the show. We were a little over time here. It is getting late here. So, Melissa, you want to give a way for people to get a hold of you?
Look, you can see my name up there, say Melissa Hocking Hughes. Go to that, melissahockinghughes.com. You can find me there. At the moment, really the only thing you can book with me is a remote healing session, which is also an experiential session if you want to do that. You can get a scheduled remote, which is dearer, more expensive, but it's it'll be done at the time that you want it done. Like, no, I won't be connecting with you via Zoom or any live thing in that, though. Just so you know, at the moment, I'm flat out. I can't sit down for 45 minutes on a Zoom contact with you. No, that doesn't mean you're unimportant. I'll still actually enter the session properly with you, but I can't actually do it this way. Not at the moment. As I said, in a couple of weeks, I'll have a link for you and exclusively this audience to come and do this Raise Your Vibration little program with me, which Mont will endorse because it works. And it's only going to be healthier, happier, and safer in yourself. So,
just make sure it's funny, because that laughter and all that, you know, sorry, I'm being jaded for doing comedy for the, laughter and all that horse shit. But yeah, laughter raises your vibration. So that was the main idea that we had, Andrew, wasn't it? Back in March or April of 2020, like, oh, lockdown, let's do a comedy show.
Let's let it rip.
Yeah.
So Monty, you want to give a way for them to get a hold of you?
Wafer Thin Entertainment on Rumble, YouTube, Odyssey, BitChute, at Real Monty Dean on Twitter. If you go into that, Wafer Thin Entertainment is also on Twitter, Facebook. There's my page. If you're awake at 2 a.m. New York time on Wednesday mornings, I have Planet Collingwood, which goes live on Revolution Radio. Bruce pops in for that a lot. And then that actually goes up on my video platforms. And I don't really need to mention it again, but I've done an audiobook called Stardust Ranch. So if you want to listen to me for 8 hours, you can.
All right, Bruce, you want to give a way for people to get a hold of you?
Yeah, go to Amazon.com and you'll see the books there. And there's Stardust Ranch. And sometime in the next 3 months or so, I'm going to start up an online periodical where we just write about current affairs, but off in the future. And anybody who's interested in writing, let me know. And so we just write about everything, society, money, entertainment, everything, but just from a unique perspective. And thanks for the infomercial on Stardust Ranch today, guys. So,
All right, everybody, you know how to get a hold of me. Go to Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, anywhere. Go to my website, andrewbartzis.com. Okay, we will be back this coming Thursday for another Adventure into Reality call-in show. All right, everyone, take it easy. Have a great day.
Each different bubble of reality is true.
A galactic historian is a person that looks at all the lines of dramatic karma.
Nudge, nudge. It's the Holy Grail. Improvise. Mysterious. It's counter psychic intelligence.
Why is DNA farming of this star cluster so important?
Because we do manifest our reality. We do create our reality.
Hello, let's create, let's co-create, and let's change this world with love. No matter if you're from Alpha Centauri or Earth, we all began with the same birthing process. We live in a limited point of view. Living the mystical life daily is about striving for the unlimited point of view. Each day, each human being gets an infinite amount of choices. Living the mystical life daily is about facing obstacles and challenges. The level of awareness that you are working at means you have a responsibility to be equal with it. How does one truly let go of expectation? You can make the moment that you wake up to the moment you go to sleep sacred. The keys to success: choice, 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 and choice.